Whoa. Sorry, this is taking me some time to figure out this whole going live thing. Can everybody hear me? Am I popping? Am I kicking? Am I popping? I'm popping, right? I'm popping. Yeah, I think I'm popping. What's up? Everybody popping? I don't know why I'm saying that so many times. Somebody say in chat, we hear you. Shakas. We hear you. Shakas. Popping. Okay, popping. We're popping. So, welcome to the second ever Bowservids live stream, Party Time Spectacular. We're popping over here. We got Gremlins 2 on the TV. Okay. Copyright infringement right out the gate, but I don't think anyone will be able to see it. So I thought it'd be fun. How's everybody doing tonight? First of all, I got some what's up. Very good. Popping boy, popping. Shakas, you popping. Oh my gosh. Okay, awesome. So, hello from New Mexico. Amazing. I wanted to do another live stream. I thought it would be good to kind of give these like topics, but we can go off topic. But I wanted to focus on projects that haven't been made because there's a lot of Onyx ideas that have never gotten off the ground. And I thought it'd be fun to talk about them. And you guys can ask questions. Somebody said, what are we drinking tonight? Alvaro asked, I've actually made myself a martini. However, it's in, like a whiskey glass. And I'm calling it a quarantini. Trademark me, quarantini. Oh, and you're shaming yourself in the basement. That's amazing. Actually, there are tiny wines right over here. Hold on. We got some tiny wines, and we got Baphomet, whatever you prefer. So we are truly popping, okay? If you thought we weren't, we are. We're popping. Let's get right into it. First of all, I wanted to talk about Shadow Zone because we've never made a video explaining what happened to Welcome to the Shadow Zone. And I'm really proud of that series. And I also think it did really well. Here was the history of Welcome to the Shadow Zone. Okay. So some of you may know I worked at a place called Nerdist for 6 years. And while I was there, I was, always pushing for scripted content. I led the comedy videos, the comedy content there. And they decided to launch a pay platform called Alpha. So I felt like, I've been here for years. I've been the comedy guy. Give me a show on Alpha because they were putting some pretty good money into this Alpha programming. That's where Welcome to the Shadow Zone came in. It was an Alpha show. What that meant was it had to live on this pay platform for a long time. I guess it wound up being like a year. So we made it, we put it on Alpha, and I mean, oh boy, Nerdist wasn't really equipped to do like a scripted series. So it was just me and my little team, my producer Jason, and who co-directed every episode, and our associate producer Eric, and our editor Matt, obviously all the cast, but we were pulling like 18-hour days, 19-hour days to get this because we still had our regular jobs at Nerdist to do. So we were making Welcome to the Shadow Zone and still making sketches. There's a lot of questions, and I'm sorry, I'm on track. Spooky shit's back, my guy or my girl. Spooky shit's back. Alpha's not around. So here's what happened. We broke our backs making Shadow Zone. Alpha launched without much marketing, without much publicity. And because of that, no one really saw Welcome to the Shadow Zone. It's hard to launch a pay platform. There were a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There were a number of other shows. Some shows got more attention because they had a built-in audience. And Onyx, although he has an audience, he's split, right? Some people still think he's real. Some people don't know to find him on Bowservids. So it was really hard to funnel everyone that knows about the character to Alpha. So about a year later, I convinced Nerdist to this is what somebody asked. Jay White asks what happened to Onyx after he met his dad. That leads me to talking about these unmade projects tonight. A year later, I convinced Nerdist to put them on YouTube. And on YouTube, it was a real gamble because it would have hurt my reputation at Nerdist if they put this money behind Shadow Zone. Nobody watched it on Alpha, and then nobody watched it on YouTube. But that didn't happen. People watched it on YouTube. I think each episode averages between like 70 and 80,000 views, which is really good for a 12-minute long scripted comedy show from a production entity that had never done scripted comedy outside of sketches, music video parodies, commercial parodies, etc. So after it did well on YouTube, I thought they're definitely going to get behind Onyx, do another round of Shadow Zone, but they did not. So it was essentially canceled by Nerdist. Everybody asking for more Shadow Zone, it warms my heart, but it was canceled. And, you know, they do own that format. I could do a show called Enter the Darkest Realm, and it'd be fine, but probably couldn't use the same characters. I own Onyx, obviously. And so Jason and the squad, them boys, Patrick in the chat. Patrick worked on many a Nerdist video. And yeah, the Weedham boys were the ones that pulled off Welcome to the Shadow Zone. So that was canceled by Nerdist. That's why it did not live again. It did not rise again. One of the first unmade projects I wanted to talk about was whenever I come to the end of a project, and a lot of times they don't reach the height of exposure or response that I want them to, I take a breath and then I circle back to how to repackage or represent the same themes or the same idea in a new way, in a way that may go further next time. So I wrote a proper television pilot for Onyx, and I literally just forgot what it was called. Because we had many names for it. We named it after the strip mall that he worked at in the pilot. I called it Premature for a while. Kind of a pun, double entendre, premature ejaculation. And that was how I basically said, all right, Shadow Zone's not going forward, but guess what? Transformers. Here's a new version of a narrative series with Onyx, and it's called Premature. Let's do this. And Nerdist almost got that going. They almost decided to put money behind it. We had somebody attached to play my father, Onyx's father. It was the continuation of Shadow Zone, but it was kind of like Evil Dead 2 in the sense that I cut my girlfriend's head off. No, in the sense that you didn't need to watch Shadow Zone to understand and track Premature. It was a way of just recontextualizing the character in a similar world. You still had Todd, you still had Jessamine. He meets his father, but you don't need to have seen Shadow Zone. And unfortunately, right when it was about to happen, we'd even had the meeting with one of my comedy heroes to play my father. He said yes. Oh boy. And we couldn't get it off the ground. That was probably one of the biggest disappointments. Ultimately, I think that was the biggest disappointment in my time at Nerdist, because it was such a big swing. It was the culmination of this character, of my relationships there at that company, and we almost got it going. And a lot of great people over at Nerdist tried too. Really, really fought for it, but we just couldn't get it going. So, Premature. I don't know. Do you have questions? I don't know. Do you have questions about Premature? Do you have any questions about other Onyx projects? I've got a list that I wrote down of different projects I've written with him over the years that have gone nowhere. Who was the dad, Gary? I just can't say, because I really hope one day it still happens. Onyx Animated. Okay. So that is also something I have written down on my list to talk about. Once again, something doesn't go as far as I want it to. I take a breath and circle the wagons, and then I recontextualize the idea into a new format. I wrote an animated pitch that was just called Onyx the Fortuitous Slayer of the Bright Realm. And it was about Onyx, his suburban life, welcome to the Shadow Zone style. He's got a dumb job in a mall. He's got friends that he plays D&D with. But you slip into his fantasies, and we see those played out in vivid animation. So for instance, if he's bullied by somebody at the mall and he's like, I hate that guy, he's like some kind of heartless troll, then we would see that guy as a troll, that character now forever would be, oh, this is a good question. I like seeing your other characters. Anton, let me answer that right after I explain this, because that's important. What were some of the hypothetical plot lines? That's a good question, Pat. These are hard to track. Let me answer this question from Pat, because that's good. But basically, I had written this animated show or a pitch called Onyx the Fortuitous Slayer of the Bright Realm. And if he had a vision of somebody like, I'm in love with that girl, she's like an elven goddess, she would appear as an elven goddess. But like from there on out, you know what I mean? Also didn't go anywhere. So this is going to be a bummer of a live stream. But let me tell you what the plot was of the Onyx pilot, because Pat's asking. It was called Beef Boy. That was the name of the episode, because it opens up with Onyx working at Marty's Meat Hut, you know, which is like my version of an Arby's. And basically he gets terrorized by these bullies, and they shove meat down his pants and they make him dance. And I think the song is from the Beef Boy commercial, the Meat Hut commercial. The mascot is Beef Boy, and the song is, I'm a beef boy, if you know what's good. Well, of course, fuck, what is it? I'm a beef boy, if you know what's good. And if you're something, I think you should. I don't remember. The point is, a guy shows up at the restaurant who's this drunk mess, and he, it turns out, helps Onyx get the guts to take on these bullies. And the first episode is Onyx getting the guts through this weird drunk customer to take on these bullies. And it turns out this drunk mess of a guy is Onyx's dad, but we don't know that till the end of the episode. Of course, Onyx knows. He's like, oh, Carl, what are you doing here? And Carl's like, are those guys messing with you again? And it's weird. You're like, why does Onyx have this friendship with this mess of an older guy? And then in the end, Jessamine says something like, you know, Onyx, just because he's your dad doesn't mean you have to let him in your life over and over again. And Onyx is like, yeah, I know, but it's hard to say no to my dad. Beef Boy and Beef. Oh yeah, Tim and Eric, totally. Yeah, Beef House. No, I know, but that's like, that always happens. How did I meet Milana? She was a friend of mine from the neighborhood. Gosh, I don't even know how I met her. Friends of friends. Meeting Jessica Negri, that was really great. She has been a staunch supporter of Onyx. Adult Swim. I have pitched to Adult Swim. So here's a big thing. And I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. When you don't have representation, if you don't have a manager and an agent, which I don't, even though I have sought them with fervor, you can have ideas, but it's only going to be you and your personal connections that you can then send those ideas to. So if I don't have a personal relationship at Adult Swim, I'm not pitching anything. If I had a manager, I would write my manager and say, get me a meeting at Adult Swim. And ideally, if they were a manager worth their weight, they would get that meeting. So I'm very limited in where I can take these things to. That's a lot of why they haven't gone anywhere. When you pitch a movie out here, your agents have set you up with meetings across town. You go in one by one. You pitch to Amazon, they say no. You pitch to Hulu, they say no. You pitch to Netflix, they say no. But guess what? You wind up at Quibi. You take that pitch all around town. I don't have representation. I try, hasn't happened. So I did pitch to Adult Swim a number of times, but you want to know something? I don't think Onyx is weird enough for Adult Swim. When I have pitched, that's been the response. If you think about it, Onyx is a very traditional comedic character. The content may be weird, but the structure is very old school. You know, it's Pee-wee, or it's like SCTV. It's Ernest. They don't really do comedy like that right now. Comedy is like, comedy it's anti-comedy. Most of what Adult Swim is. It's funny. I love it. But I just mean they purposefully look for lack of structure. They don't like set up punchline. They don't like things being, it's not really my flow, right? Hey, Aaron. What's up, dude? So I don't know. I don't think I fit at Adult Swim. I think I need to. Oh, how is my relationship with Dan Harmon? I knew Dan through a friend. He's a fantastic dude, and he was in Monster Machine for me. But that's all. I haven't talked to him in years. But our new podcast is at Starburns. But what about it being animated? Wouldn't that make it more Adult Swim? Yes, I would argue that their animation is often more traditional. Um, yeah, I do think an Onyx animated show could work at Adult Swim. It's so hard. You got to like when you pitch something, when you work on something, you have to go all in on that thing for months. You know, you've got to say, all right, I'm going to work on fleshing this out. I'm going to get an animator to like share the load with me and actually do some animation that I can pitch with. They're going to own part of the property. You've got to go all in. And I've always had another job, and I've always been writing a lot of other things. So I often wonder if that's part of it. You know, I'm always like I just said, if I get a no or two or three, I back off and I try to come up with something new. When maybe I should be sticking with one idea for 2 years straight. You know what I mean? I think about that. Um, where do I want to be in 5 years? To be honest, if I haven't made a bigger feature film in 5 years, I'll be very disappointed. I've been trying to get a feature off the ground for 13 years, probably. Not the same one, but many different features. And I've made 3 features, but they're all very tiny and experimental. And I would like to get a proper feature off the ground. Proper meaning, God, I don't know, a budget of like $500,000. That would be killer. Somebody else had a really good question in here. How did I come up with the OCD couple skit? Oh, because I suffer from OCD. And it's very much under control now and has been for years. But got to be honest, there was a time where I was the one tapping the stove and counting the things and making up mechanisms to yeah, making up mechanisms to make my mind feel like it was at ease, even though, you know, it's all a trick. It's not true. Don't listen to your OCD. That's my moral, the moral of the story. You would be unstoppable if you gave everything to one thing for 8 months. Yeah, I know I'm going to sound like I'm already backpedaling on what I said, but you could argue I have given my all to one thing for 8 months. I mean, I've been working on Little Willie for probably close to 2 years now, from the time I started writing the short to now. And, you know, can't get anyone to make that feature. So it's not that simple. And not to, I appreciate that encouragement. Thank you, Jedi Collie. Thank you. Thanks for helping me move toward my full feature. I have collaborated with Reckless Tortuga. I acted in a couple of their sketches. But anyway, oh, sorry, I'm missing all of these. The idea of doing something for 8 months. Yeah, I mean, I have, and I do. We pitched that Onyx feature pilot for much longer than 8 months. Didn't happen. So it's not as simple as that. Am I going to make more worm content? Wow. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. I like make another film like Worm. I will say this. I am planning a feature. That is what this is about, this night costume. That is what this red cowl is about. I have written a short that I was planning on shooting before we got hit with this pandemic and we had to stay inside. That short was going to be something I could shoot in a house with one other actor, and it could easily be written as a feature. And so I've been writing that feature while we've all been on quarantine. And to be honest, that's what I will shoot if I get that script done, because it will cost next to nothing, kind of like Worm did, and kind of like Mother of Invention and Jimmy Tupper versus the Goatman of Bowie. Oh, you mean like a proper sequel to Worm, like him older with his daughter? Oh, yeah. I think Worm would have had to have been a bigger deal, unfortunately, to warrant a sequel. Or a short where Worm is brought to justice. That's a fun idea. But again, I don't think enough people saw Worm for that to matter. A collab with Churdley's or Trevor Wallace. That's a great idea. Churdley's and I have talked. He's a really nice guy. And we were this close to making a video together, and then scheduling got in the way. So I do think we will do that soon. I did a live comedy night of his out here in LA and had a really good time. How easy is it to get into the Onyx character? It's very easy now. I used to need time, and I used to kind of have to ramp up, and I'd be mad because I couldn't get the voice going, but not anymore. Now it's like that. If I put on the hat and all right, then it's just I do it. It's easy now, very easy. Bizarre States is back. So that's another. So sometimes I think stuff gets lost in the interwebs. Bizarre States is back. It's called The Untold Hour, and we're already 2 episodes in. It's on Starburns Audio, and we've got more episodes in the bank. We're recording from our homes, and it's an ongoing podcast. Me and Jessica Chobot back in it. So let me talk about another project that was unmade that I got super stoked on. There was a time where we were really close to getting a micro budget feature greenlit with Onyx. So micro, 500,000 or below. Thank you, Hef. Can I get an Onyx style Hef TV? You mean Hef TV is pretty cool? I don't know, like that. I don't know if that's what you meant. So anyway, I've often thought of different features for Onyx, and feel free to ask questions. I just decided to talk about this, but if you've got other questions, I don't have to talk about what I planned on talking about. Onyx speed and pronunciation. Did I take special classes for that? No, what's up, Kendrick Lamar? What's good? I doubt that's the real Kendrick Lamar. That's why I said it like that. I didn't know I spoke fast, and I didn't know I spoke with such precision, I guess you'd say. I don't know where that came from, but it's always been a part of me. And when I get nervous or when I get angry, I talk really fast. It was just this dormant part of me, and Onyx brings it out. That speed and that amount of pronunciation, whatever. Onyx brought that out, but I do like language and I like words. And I also like the rhythm of certain words. And all right, well, then it's Kendrick. It's Kendrick, and he's in self-isolation, and I'm so happy that he's here, and I believe that it's the real Kendrick. I like the rhythm of speech, and I'll rewrite Onyx things because it won't sound right. And maybe that's a little OCD, because what does it mean for something to sound right? But in that OCD sketch, we talk about that. I say Mongolia, Mongolia, Mongolia. I'm going to keep saying that until it sounds right. I saw a couple other questions. So anyway, let me talk about one of these movies. I want to tell you the ideas for these Onyx features because they're each very, very different. One of them was called Beefy Bad Boy from Outer Space. Now, my favorite title of all time, obviously you can tell I'm obsessed with beef and boys, and especially beef boys. But Beefy Bad Boy from Outer Space I was trying to think of an idea that it almost, the Onyx of it all is secondary, right? Like, it's a good pitch for a comedy no matter what. So the pitch for the comedy is Terminator, but he's sent back in time to stop the IT guy or the developer of like a really bad kind of Gang Beast style game that somehow leads to the robot apocalypse. Or maybe the guy, like a shitty programmer at like a Blizzard or even a smaller place, happens to create a glitch in software that leads to what takes down the robots. Whatever. The point is, a Terminator comes back in time and has to stop Onyx from developing this bug because it's going to be what takes out the robots. And it was called Beefy Bad Boy from Outer Space. And thank you, Philly. I've been a fan since Weird Comic. Where can I see your Vincent Dooley movie, The Mother of Invention? Oh, I think it's on Amazon, and I think you can buy it anywhere, I think. I don't know. Amazon, iTunes, The Mother of Invention. Anyway, point is, Beefy Bad Boy from Outer Space. This Terminator comes back and has to stop Onyx from creating this bug that's going to take out the robots. And the joke in the beginning of the script is that Onyx believes it right away. I mean, this guy explains it, And he's like, so I'm this Terminator, I'm from the future, and blah, blah, blah. And you think that Onyx is going to have a hard time understanding it, but he's like, I get it. Yeah, you're a beefy bad boy from outer space. And then he just goes with it. And it was a really fun idea, and didn't happen. Any questions about beefy bad boy from outer space? Somebody asked if I'm from Michigan. I am not. The movie's not called The Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa. It's called The Mother of Invention, which is just a colloquialism. Nobody owns it. So, I didn't know the name of the. So, what camera's using a black and white short film? Austin. Thank you, Austin. My phone. I shot that Psycho Pomp short and ASMR on my phone, which is an iPhone 10X, whatever they're called. So another idea that I had for an Onyx feature was that Untold Hour is only a podcast right now. We may get into it being a video podcast soon, if for sure. Onyx video games, comic books, yes. But again, he needs to have success in one medium before he can go anywhere else. So, no one's going to pay to make an Onyx video game. I mean, unless y'all know someone, but yeah, I mean, the beefy bad boy would be like John Cena, that's who it would be. Yeah, Onyx has to have success on another platform. He's got to get like the YouTube. Thank you, Richard. The YouTube stuff has to pick up and be more consistent and be more exposed so that he gets like a Netflix show or a Comedy Central show or a Quibi show or something. He's going to have to get to another level before there's comic books or cartoons or video games. And, I'm trying. All I can do is just keep making content. Or yeah, you get him in as a cartoon first, which I've also tried to do. And SNL, I don't have a manager. I've never gotten to audition for SNL. I need to probably do more live stuff to get considered for SNL. I need to like do stuff at UCB and yeah, just get around town more and be up in front of people. Maybe then I could get an SNL audition. Although I think I would probably be the oldest person to join SNL. I don't know. How old was Leslie Jones when she joined, or Fred Armisen? You don't have to apologize, nerdy by nature. All these questions are great. How do you come up with what Onyx says? I mean, I usually just close my eyes and think, and it just comes to me because he's in my mind. He's there somewhere. So, okay. Oh, you're saying do a show on Twitch, Shane Silver? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. I mean, I probably should do that. Okay. So another idea I had for an Onyx feature. Andrew, you're late. I answered the Shadow Zone question. It was canceled by Nerdist. So I can't make another Shadow Zone. I can make an Enter the Dark Realm, but another idea I had for an Onyx feature, I forget the name of it. Oh, it was called like Devil's Peak. Basically, Onyx becomes convinced that this low-level criminal is like the son of Satan. And this criminal convinces Onyx to like drive him across country and get involved in his crime spree, because Onyx believes at the end of this crime spree is going to be this like meeting with the devil himself. But the truth is, he was just a criminal, and he was scamming Onyx because Onyx had some money and a car, and the supposed son of the devil was just a piece of shit criminal. So anyway, I forget what that was. Yeah, I wanted Jimmy Simpson to play the criminal. Jack Black and Onyx would be a dream come true. I don't know. These are all great ideas, but you got to have the connections. You got to have the right people. Favorite album of all time? Oh, I'm kind of bad with music. I like Interpol, Placebo, the band Ghost. Okay, so do I have a business email? Oh yeah, I guess my website. If you go to andrewbowserdirector.com, you can contact me there. So, oh yeah, Onyx Dark Adventures of the Dark Realm. So yeah, well, so think about that. Hulu Into the Dark, right? So they make short, I mean, they're features, but they're like, 80 minutes, 90 minutes long. I have pitched to Hulu and Blumhouse, and hopefully will again. And maybe Onyx could fit there. Maybe we could do a Hulu Into the Dark movie. And thank you, Christopher Lord. Maybe you could do an Into the Dark movie, which brings me to my next Onyx pitch, which was called Onyx, the Fortuitous Overlord of Evil. And I should bring up the deck. I had a whole deck and everything. And it was kind of like Onyx meets The Gate. You remember that movie? Or Gremlins. Onyx becomes responsible for opening up this tiny portal that brings these little evil critters into his suburb. And it's like, yeah, it's like Gremlins, but with Onyx. I mean, that's the pitch. So you got Beefy Bad Boy from Outer Space if you want the sci-fi approach. If you don't want anything supernatural, you got Devil's Peak. That's kind of like a crime comedy caper. Or if you want to go full supernatch, then you've got Onyx, the Overlord of Evil. Was I in Your Pretty Faces Going to Hell? Yes, I was. And that was a lot of fun. How difficult was it to come up with the character? I came up with the catchphrase first. I thought how funny it would be. I really don't know where it came from. I remember I was standing in the bathroom. I brushed my teeth or something. Onyx, Pat, Onyx should be the Arby's spokesman. I mean, golly, Onyx should be the Arby's spokesman. So what was I talking about? What was I just talking about? Crypt TV. I don't know if they'd be interested in Onyx. They may be a little too self-serious. Onyx animated on YouTube because it costs money. I'm working with an animator right now, the guy that did the intro to Infernal Communion. I think we're going to try to collab on some short 30-second long Onyx cartoons. But, you know, I got to make sure I can record the voices and that he'll do the work. Brushing my teeth. Had an idea. Yes. So I was in the bathroom. I was brushing my teeth, and then I thought of I don't know. That's what I thought of first. I thought of a guy that was so nervous or so full of self-doubt that even if he said something he knew, like, what's your favorite movie of all time? I don't know. Gremlins? I don't know. And then it just came from there. And then the first couple Onyx videos are not that dialed in. You know, I did one. Weird Gamer Guy is the kind of originator, but then I did one called Weird Comic-Con Guy that's like not really Onyx. I didn't really know he was a character yet. I thought that was like, it was halfway there, but I could also do a different guy that kind of sounded the same. But then I started dialing him in. But somebody had a really good question. Little Willie, the short film is done and it has been submitted to 27 festivals. It has been rejected by 7 festivals. So, and then it's been accepted into 2. And we still have like 18 left to hear from. Unfortunately, the 2 that it was accepted into were postponed because of the crisis we're all in. So I understand. Little Willie will get out there. But no, the original was not the news report. No, the original was Weird Gamer Guy in 2012. And it sat on the internet for a year and didn't get any views. And then somebody picked it up on Reddit. Am I scared of Onyx being a tower that might eclipse my other passions? No, because as a performer, I'm never going to stop directing. I'm never going to stop putting myself in my own shorts where I'm not Onyx. I have no fear of, that's why I'm a writer director. My destiny will only be dictated by what I choose to put my efforts into. You know, I'm not hanging around waiting for anyone to pick me up. I stay active and productive daily. I mean, I write constantly. Onyx has been to Monsterpalooza. It's an episode of Friday Faves. He goes to Monsterpalooza and talks about getting confusing boners. So no, I would love Onyx to be the thing I'm known for. I would love it. I mean, I would love it for Onyx to be big enough to eclipse everything. I would absolutely love it. I want Onyx to be Pee-wee. I want Onyx to be, but see, that's what I'm saying is like those things don't exist anymore, right? Like, what's the archetype now for I mean, Napoleon Dynamite was the last thing, you know, maybe like a Mike Myers movie or old Jim Carrey movies. I don't know where Onyx fits right now. I know I love him, and I know people on the channel love him, but I don't know where he fits. Thank you, Snowboard Pro Camp. What movie did you think went under the radar in the last year? To be honest, My favorite film of the year was recognized. It was Parasite. So I don't feel like I watched a film this year that went under the radar. I mean, other than Uncut Gems, love that. Boy. I deserve to. Oh, Shudder. Oh, this is another great. Oh boy, this is another great unmade thing. I had a pitch at Shudder to use Onyx as a horror host, like Joe Bob or Elvira, and oh boy, it was called Onyx's Underworld, and he worked at a video store in the underworld, and it was like Pee Wee's Playhouse. It was perfect, and it was cheap because the bulk of the episodes are cutting to the movie, and then you just shoot these wraparounds in studio, and all these weird creatures would come through, all these monsters and puppets and devils and demons, and you'd interview people from the horror movies. It was, and I thought we were gonna get that because people at Shudder were big fans of Onyx. They'd all seen his videos, and man, just didn't happen. They passed, but that was a big bummer. That was last year. That was a big bummer because I was like, they're gonna go for it. Onyx is such a bankable character. He's been seen by so many people. And Shudder didn't bite. Dark Side, Shudder did not bite. I hated Midsummer. I don't like Ari Aster films. I don't think I ever will. When I saw The Witch, Eggers, I thought, I don't like The Witch, but I bet you he's going to make a movie I will like. And guess what? Your boy loved The Lighthouse. But when I saw Hereditary, I said, this man will never make a movie I like. Our interests and our instincts are too far apart from each other. Dust has turned down many of my projects. So sorry about that. Dust, Gunpowder, and Sky. This is a bummer. I feel sorry. I feel bad. I feel like this turned into just me talking about all the places that have turned me down. But, it's not a bummer because I'm still making stuff. So don't worry. But yes, Dust turned me down. Dust said no to Little Willie. Or Alter. Dust and Alter. One's the sci-fi one and one is the horror one. And they're both owned by Gunpowder and Sky. And they all said no to me. Andrew, are you open to interview on geek horror groups? Thank you, Dan. Yeah, sure. Email me through my website. Without a doubt. Somebody earlier mentioned me doing other characters. And I had a whole plan with this new push of content to do this much Onyx. Let's see. This much Onyx. And then like this much new characters. And then, to be honest, it's so easy to write Onyx. And Comedy Central has passed on many Onyx projects. Sorry. A good friend of mine is over at Comedy Central and loves Onyx, but they don't do, their comedy right now is a little more grounded. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't make Strangers with Candy now. Sorry, somebody said Sam Raimi. That's the dream. That's the dream. I had a meeting with Sam Raimi's company the other week, not with Sam directly, and it went really well. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Sorry. It'll get picked up. Thank you, Assisted Anarchy. But so anyway, other characters I have, I know what it takes to really like flesh out and find a voice in a comedic persona. The time it took me to get there with Onyx was so laborious. And I honestly, it's overwhelming to think of going down that path with someone else. Vincent Dooley is another one that I went down that path with. Bigfoot horror movie. That's a good point. Hold tight. Let me tell you something. I don't live in Detroit. I'm not from Michigan. I'm from Maryland. Stephen, don't let me forget that because I have something to say about that. Not quite Bigfoot, but a cryptid. So I will do more characters, but they may be more like not fully embodied, fully rendered people. They may be like the new accounts video or the actor responds video or like SoCal Jimmy, where they're just kind of me being silly. Whereas Onyx, I feel like is a full being. I don't know if I'll get to another one of those anytime soon. It would probably be Vincent Dooley and Onyx. Although I really liked Scars, the rapper, but that also didn't get very many views. Did it? I don't know. I don't remember actually. So the next Onyx video, I'm going to tell everybody on this chat. It's coming out next week. It's a news video. And, oh, Pat, that's a good question. I'll answer that. The next Onyx news video is him talking about the Mothman. Okay. So I want to, if it does well, I want to try to make like a short mockumentary like that show on Netflix, The Dark Tourist or Dark Tourist, where Onyx is profiled because by a filmmaker because he believes in the Mothman. And then I thought, oh, well, that could be its own mockumentary feature, right? Tales from the Mothman Society. And Onyx is just one of the ensemble. Then you're not stacking, you're not, placing all your bets on everybody loving Onyx. He's just part of the crew, okay? So he's the Galifianakis in that wolf pack, but you got a bunch of other people in there. So my goal is that, maybe I can write a little Mothman thing. Pat asked if any good ideas will come from this quarantine. Probably. I mean, the funny thing is, I think a lot of independent filmmakers think this way already. I mean, I've shot multiple short films in my house using just myself and a friend's voice on the phone or a friend at my door, So I think it's how a lot of us already think. I mean, the short that I've written with this, that would feel like something that I came up with during this quarantine, but it's not. It's something I was going to make weeks ago. A zombie horror comedy. I think I would stay away from zombie horror comedy because that feels like, it's been done. Yeah, Onyx and stuff for Adult Swim. I mean, I'd love to, but I've pitched to them before and it hasn't happened. Pennywise 667. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, thank you so much. And I'll tell you quickly what I say. I won't bore you with why I don't like Midsummer and Hereditary. My biggest issue with those films, I don't feel like the action of the characters and the plot are tethered to the themes of the film. I can unpack that. Thank you, TJ. But, everything that happens in The Exorcist is running on the same themes. What happens to Father Karras, it's about sacrifice, and it's about him learning to believe and have faith even in the face of evil to the point where he's willing to give himself. That's the theme of the movie, right? The mother's sacrifice of her life to heal her daughter, to find help for her daughter, right? Midsummer and Hereditary, shit just happens. It's not about anything. And he tries to say it is. He tries to say this is about mental illness or this is about familial generational curses, but I don't buy it because I feel like the strands that he uses to connect his action to his themes are flimsy strands. I think they're flimsy. I don't think they're shored up. I don't think they're strong. Like when you watch a movie like Taxi Driver or Rosemary's Baby is about vanity, right? And it's about putting your own interests before your loved ones to the point to where you'll sacrifice your entire future, your personal future, for your celebrity. I don't think Ari Aster is a big horror fan. He said so on a podcast with Mick Garris. I think he was frustrated that he wasn't selling his dramatic scripts, and so he took one of them and put a horror ending on it. And I think that's what Hereditary feels like. It feels like a family drama that somebody shoehorned a horror ending onto, Hail, King Payment. Oh, was that what the movie was about? No, just the welcome mat and the book in the attic. That's what makes it about the cult now. Anyway, and then Midsummer's the same way. Everybody says, well, it's about a toxic relationship. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's what everyone's telling you it's about. It's not really about that. If you really unpack that film, it doesn't really dive into the themes that would be involved in unpacking a toxic relationship. Also, not to get on a rant, but those movies still have all the tropes from bad horror films. Those actors talking about their thesis project, that's something out of a bad horror film. Them watching those old people jump off the cliff and not immediately leaving is a trope from a bad horror film. I do smoke weed, but not often. But I do CBD oil, and I smoke my little vape pen, my little dosist pen. Sorry, I like the Lighthouse. Love the Lighthouse. Yo, 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 yo. So what else? Yeah, when I get amped, the Onyx Army of Darkness would be great for Onyx. Yes, you're completely right. Yeah, and Jeff, and honestly, like a movie like This Is the End, totally. I think an Onyx comedy, if it were a feature, would have to be something high concept to where the Onyx of it all is secondary. Oh, you know, I have friends that work with Gerard, and I've never tried to reach out to them. So this is good. There's people that are actually giving like really good pointers. I'm not gonna lie. There's not gonna be another season of Shadow Zone. It was canceled by Nerdist. American Movie is one of my all-time favorite films. And yes, that's what I'm picturing for this Mothman mockumentary, right? Like an American Movie style or Tiger King style. All I want is to do something like American Movie. I mean, that's it. I did actually interview Ghost. That was Tobias Forge in that mask. Huge fan, giant fan. There was something up here, but yeah, again, Army of Darkness. That's a perfect example. High concept and make it Onyx. That's what it would need to be. I know. I would. I know Kevin, and Kevin Pereira is an awesome guy. I would love. I would love more Shadow Zone. I would love more Onyx in a narrative context. But you know, who knows? So let's do this for just like let me say 5 more minutes. This has been really awesome, though, and I think I've gone through most of the big disappointments. The Onyx features, the animated show, the horror hosting show. I mean, every time I've met with a company, I've pitched a different version of an Onyx project. You know, Scars, Onyx, and Dooley. That would be great. Favorite sandwich at Arby's? I don't eat fast food. I don't know. I have to keep a really strict diet. I'm allergic to everything. Do I think Carol killed her husband? Do I think Joe was set up? We're talking about Tiger King now, okay? You know, I just don't know. I can't say whether or not Carol Baskin killed her husband. Is it suspicious? Yes. Does her family think she had something to do with it? Yes. Am I likely to side with the family? Yes. So, when Mothman guy comes out, make sure you share the hell out of that. Okay, let's get a lot of eyes on Mothman. Comic is great. I mean, that keeps coming up. The only thing is, if you think about Onyx, thank you, Pennywise. When you think about Onyx and what works about him, would he work in the printed form? You know, would that carry over for people that don't know Onyx? I don't know that it would. I think you've got to get Onyx popular in another medium before he goes to comic books. But I do think you could do something with him animated that would work straight out the gate. Because I think I got those up and running at Nerdist. The Onyx on the Couch. We did 3 of those. And then Nerdist took some of them down for no reason. When does Mothman come out? Friday. Yeah. This is really good, though. I think this is also healthy for me because it's good for me to see people that like my stuff and asking questions, and it's encouraging, but it's also challenging because you guys are asking good questions about, you know, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? That's great. That's a great dynamic to have with an audience, I think. What about your shorts as a comic? That's a good idea. I recently thought about some of the shorts that I haven't been able to get off the ground, and I've wondered if I could make those into comic books. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, there's a bunch of, I have heard of Killer Sofa. Yeah, Mothman will be out everywhere. Matt, thank you. Thank you. I keep losing track because there's been so many things. Oh, yeah, Nerdist took down a lot of content, and I don't know why. I don't work there anymore, so I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they took down stuff. Would you rather be a more successful actor, director, or writer? Director. Bottom line, director. I know that's maybe crazy to say, but that's what gets my juices flowing. Directing, because the director gets to have eyes on the whole. When I have acted in things, I love it and I'd love to do more acting, but I don't get off on it. I don't like come home from acting and I'm like, whew. I love shooting something in my house more than I like acting. I like being in control of the whole thing because that's very fulfilling to me. All right. Well, I think that's it. Yeah, I really appreciate this. I think this is super, super insightful, and I really appreciate y'all being a part of it. So check out Mothman. Be on the lookout. It comes out next week, and I'm definitely going to be doing more live streams. I know I said in my post I was going to talk about the future of Bowservids content. I didn't really do that. My only advice if you want to be a director is just start making your own stuff on your phone. I mean, the kind of shit I had to go through as a kid to get something made. We didn't have phones that had cameras on them. You know what I mean? Like, holy mother, I had to save up for months to buy the shittiest video camera from Best Buy. So like there's no learn to shoot, learn to edit, learn to sound design, learn it all, do it all. Thank you, Jay. And start making shorts to find your voice, dial in your voice. This was really, really awesome. And I'll talk about the future of Bowservids later because I think we have to kind of ride out this. Thank you, Pat. Starbucks run. Sick. I think we got to ride out this lockdown before I know what the future of the content's going to look like. But we still have content shot through end of May. So those videos are in the bank. So we'll be rolling out stuff weekly. All right. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, I'm Bowser. And I just wanted to say I appreciate you supporting the channel. And for those of you that are patrons, thank you for being a patron. It's patreon.com/Bowservids. I'll see you next time. Thank you.